Hey guys, welcome back to Omnifactory. This is episode 9, and today we're going to start AE2 Autocrafting. Just a quick recap on last time, we got our epoxy resin set up. I'm not sure if this was a good decision to actually do this and set up epoxy resin, but I was kind of committed and I wanted to get that finished off. But yeah, that's now finished. It might end up rebuilt again, I'm not sure. So yeah, let's start AE2 Autocrafting. So we're going to need a lot of these circuits from Applied Energistics, so I'm going to batch craft about a stack of each for now. We're also going to make some processors, which are multi-blocks. We need some crafting units for those, so that's more processors, glass cable, and aluminium plates. So then we need to craft our crafting units with 4K, well, I'm going to pick 4K for now, 4K storage components. So there's some 4K storage components. We can then craft those with our crafting units, and we get 4K crafting storages. We're also going to need crafting coprocessors, so we'll get a couple of those as well. We will upgrade these over time. I just like to get some to get started. So let's expand our platform out one more square here, and we'll put our processors, I think, in this section. This will be fine for now, I think. And we'll extend our ME conduits along. So I've set up 3 different processors for now. We will upgrade these over time as needed. But this will be enough to get us started, especially since we don't have anything on Autocraft yet. So the coprocessors determine how many processes in a recipe chain Applied Energistics will try to craft at once. And the crafting storages determine how big the craft can be. Right now we're at 4K, but we can go up to 64K and also basically extend these out as multi-blocks. Like we could put this one on top here, but we'd have to have another 3. Like it has to be square basically. So yeah, that'll stay like that for now. Let's get an interface terminal. So there's an interface terminal. We'll put this on the right hand side. And we'll also get a pattern terminal in order to encode patterns. There's the pattern terminal. I think we'll put this above. It doesn't really matter, it's just personal preference. So we now, with these 3 things here and the processors, we now have everything we need to start automating things. So now to decide what we want to do first, there's so many things we still have to do. So it's quite tricky deciding what things you want to automate, but I think I'll start with the Applied Energistics things, and that'll make it easier to automate everything else. So let's start with, like for example, the interface. So in order to automate the interface, we're going to need to automate plates, formation cores, which means we have to automate the inscriber, the robot arms, which means we have to automate wires, rods, processors we're going to leave for a later date. We're going to have to automate cables as well, and also alloy smelters, I think, or extruders. I don't know how we'll handle small gears yet, but anyways, yeah, there's a lot to automate for this interface. Let's start from the top and work our way down. So first we're going to handle crafting recipes, and for that we need the CPUs, which we've already built, and we also need molecular assemblers. So these take processors each, quartz glass, aluminium plates, and crafters. This doesn't look too bad, although this is the first time I've seen the recipe for this, so I'm going to make a batch of these. I'm not sure how many I'll start, maybe 24 of these to start. So there's 9 molecular assemblers just now, and there's 5 interfaces to start with at least. We can start setting these down over here, and I think I'll put the interfaces on this square, or these 2, and use the CPUs in these 2. And we'll lay it out something like this. There is more optimal ways to do this, but since I don't have that many interfaces or molecular assemblers, we'll share sides with quite a few of them. So now if we go to our pattern or interface terminal, we'll see all of those molecular assemblers. So as you can see, if we show this in world, it'll show as one of these. And all the rest of the interfaces I have hidden, the ones that are just supplying items. So that makes it easy to put in patterns in this terminal. Anyways, yeah, let's just start encoding recipes here. Or actually, the patterns take tier 3 circuits. So maybe, like, since we have epoxy already, maybe we should batch craft a bunch of these epoxy circuit boards and get the cheaper tier 3 circuits and tier 2 circuits. Yeah, you know what, let's do the epoxy resin into epoxide boards, and then we'll craft the tier 3 circuits using that. So we'll do this recipe, and I'll just batch craft this for now. Right, so I've just manually tank this epoxy resin over here. Yeah, let's just do a stack for now, because this can also be turned into fiber reinforced, which is like a bit more efficient to do it this way. This gives us the next tier as well, which we need fiber reinforced, but that's getting like way ahead of ourselves. I've already done that enough in this playthrough. I need to go back and automate the starting things, which is what we're doing today. This process will also take a HV assembler, so I think we'll make one of those as well. And this will require the first tier 4 circuits, which are these mainframes. So let's make, I think, 2 of these. Yeah, let's make 2 for now, which requires 2 of the tier 3 stainless steel, a bunch of SMDs, vibrant alloy, RAM, and this new SMD diode, which I have already made here. Yeah, I made quite a few. Yeah, quite a few SMDs, yeah. But yeah, this requires small gallium and fine platinum wire. So I believe we have everything we need for our first tier 4 circuits. And while it crafts, I'm just looking at the quest book here. Since I skipped biodiesel and glycerol, we don't have the quest unlocked for this, which means we don't have the epichlorohydrin quest, since I took a different route. And again, I'm not sure if that was the right choice or not. I might have to circle back and rebuild it. But if I am going to rebuild it, I'll just do that in between episodes. And there's our first tier 4 circuits. Should it be the quest? Yes, it is the quest. Nice. And with this, let's make our HV assembling machine. Alright, I'm just making the HV robot arms. These are pretty expensive at the moment. They take stainless steel. Here's some electric motors. And the robot arms. And the HV assembling machine. That should be a quest as well. Let's put this down on our HV line. And I think I'll make a batch of this glycerol just to get the quests out of the way, because I'd like to unlock these quests. Alright, there's the bucket of glycerol for the quest. Yep. Okay, so that's the next quests unlocked, and with that we'll get the epoxy circuit board quest. As soon as I pick up the epoxy that I'm making here. So we now have access to the 4th and final tier 2 circuits. I'm going to make up a batch of these in order to make autocrafting easier, so we can make the components for that easier, and then we'll start automating everything. So this just takes some fine red alloy wire, SMDs, which we have a lot of by now, and central processing units. But yeah, I'll come back in a bit after I've done some more crafting. Hopefully there's not going to be much more of this manual crafting as we start to set up these machines. Alright, so I've done a bunch more preparation. I put in some more recipes that we're going to need, and yeah, let's just start setting this up. So the first one I'd like to set up is the wire mill. And I seen this array on someone else's live stream, and I'm totally going to use this. I'm not going to pretend I made it up myself, but yeah, it's pretty genius. So I'll show you the way it works. So we're going to have 8 wire mills, and they're going to be arranged up the side of this cable here. We have a MVCF supplying power to these 16x energetic alloy wires. Then we're going to put a drawer controller in the front here, with controller slaves touching all of the wire mills. And then we'll use some 2x2 drawers. Actually, let's move this. We'll use some unlocked 2x2 drawers, and then I think I'll put a trim on the bottom, and we'll put our controller block right here. Then we'll need an interface, which I'm going to rename actually. I'm going to call it wire mill array, so that I know what it is in the interface terminal. And actually I want to move this controller so I can see everything that's in these drawers. I guess instead of having this bottom drawer, we can use this as the controller, and then put the interface on there. Yeah, let's put the controller there, interface on that. Called wire mill array. Then we're going to run item conduits here on all 4 sides. Next we're going to screwdriver all of the back faces of these wire mills to allow input from output sides, like so. So what's going to happen is the interface is going to send items for the craft into this drawer controller. It's going to fill the 2x2 drawers. So let's say we want to make copper wire. These are going to fill with copper wire, or sorry, with copper ingots. Then we're going to put robot arms on these wire mills here, on this face, and then we'll set the wire mills to import keep exact 2. Setting this to keep exact 2 is going to ensure that the items get round robin between all of the wire mills, and not just one of them gets filled with all the copper. If we order, say, a stack of copper wire, not all the copper is going to go in the one, it'll go distributed amongst all 8, and it'll be a lot faster. So we have to configure all these. So now we just have to get the final product from the wire mill back into the interface, and that will complete the craft. So we'll just use some item conduits for that, and we'll disconnect from the drawers, and we'll copy all the settings on these and insert in brown, and the same for both sides, like that. And so now if we request copper wire, or any wire really that we put a recipe in for, we should now get it. So let's go test this system. So we're going to encode our recipes here, make sure it's set on processing pattern. Really nice feature of this version of AE2 is being able to set multiples of recipes in here, which is going to be good for these arrays. And then we'll encode that and put it into our wire mill array. And then we should be able to now request copper wire. If we look at the crafting status, yep, this is going down. This is really fast, because there's 8 working at once. Let's try and request more than 64. Let's say, I don't know, 400 copper wire. And let's go look at this. So yeah, as you can see, the copper goes into the drawer, and it should be distributed amongst these wire mills, which it is. And then the output is put back into this interface. Nice, so now we can expand this and basically just keep adding recipes as we see fit. We can put multiple interfaces on this controller as well. And yeah, this is a really good start to our autocrafting. So next I want to do the same thing with the cutting machine for plates. I think we'll do that one next. Alright, I have our cutting machines now laid out here. This one is a little bit different to the wire mill, since the cutting machines also require lubricant as a fluid to cut with. You can use water instead of lubricant, but that's really slow, and I'm not going to do that, so that kind of defeats the purpose of setting these up, right? So we have a fluid interface supplying lubricant here. This lubricant is coming from a mixer that I've set up over here. This mixer here is getting supplied redstone via this interface and just piped in through item conduits, and then it's getting oil that we're drilling from our oil rig, supplied from this fluid interface. Both of those are just filtered on here, and then it gets exported to the steel drum buffer, and then has a fluid storage bus on there. And we don't really need a ton of lubricant, since it only uses 1 millibucket per crafting operation, at least for most things. So once these buffers fill up, our oil consumption is going to go way down. But we still have tons and tons of oil right now anyway. We still have 480, what is that, 4,000 buckets of oil. And I think I have that machine off right now. Yeah, I've turned it off for the time being. So I haven't actually tested the cutting machine array, so let's do that. Let's try and request some stainless steel plates. So if we request 20 plates, you can see the recipe cuts from blocks. The recipe cuts from blocks, so we first have to put in block recipes in the crafting grid, and then that gets sent to the cutting saw. So if we order 27, you should look at the crafting status. This should go down, I hope. Yes, it does. I thought for a moment I was getting stuck there, but no, we're good. And we'll input recipes basically just as we need them. I've already added to the wire mill array. I've put in copper wire, fine red alloy wire, energetic, and vibrant. So let's look at the next thing we need to automate, these robot arms. I'm kind of picking the robot arms since we need quite a lot of them for AE2 automation, so this is a good thing to try to automate fully. I think actually I have all of the things for that. I've been just slowly adding recipes as I've needed them, and I've even started doing some of the HV machines as well. The next thing I'd like to set up though is a way to coat cable. So we can maybe use silicon rubber, which is a little bit more efficient, but rubber is really easy. It's just easier to do at the moment, and eventually we will upgrade to silicon rubber or styrene butadiene rubber. But that is a little bit more involved of a process. Actually, it's not as bad as I first thought. I'm just looking through this. Maybe we can do styrene butadiene rubber. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to go for the styrene butadiene rubber. This is like the last version of the way that you can coat cables. So you can either use styrene butadiene rubber, you can use silicon rubber, or you can use regular rubber. And I don't see why we can't just go straight to this styrene butadiene version. We need this for some of the later cables, as some of the cables can only be coated using this version. So we might as well set this up. So for this we need sulfur and raw styrene butadiene rubber dust. And we get the dust from oxygen, styrene and butadiene. Butadiene we're getting from our distillation tower, so that's easy. And styrene we have to combine ethylene and benzene, and both of these we're getting from the distillation tower. So that's also easy, and it gives us hydrogen as a byproduct. So this is a bit easier than I thought. So we need 1, 2, 3 chemical reactors and an assembler. And we might as well do this at HV tier as well. So let's maybe encode the recipes for chemical reactors at HV. And we'll have to exchange these tier 3 circuits with the microprocessors for now. Alright, I suspect we're missing some more recipes from the chemical reactor in order to make 3. Yeah, steel rotors. Can we autocraft those? We need an assembler with solder and alloy. It's probably worth setting that up. That'll be probably something else that we'll do. But for now, I'll just craft a few manually. So what was it? 3 chemical reactors? Yeah. Man, this feels so good to get autocrafting up and running now. I feel like we're going to be flying. Right, so what else do we need for this? We'll need a few fluid storage buses. Okay, I think I crafted up everything I need here. Let's think where we want to put this. I think I might move this assembler over. Yeah, we'll move that assembler and we'll start this reaction here. So I guess we'll just chain 3 into each other. And the last one's going to be, well, we'll work backwards here, I think. It's going to be easier. So we need sulfur and the raw styrene. So we need an interface supplying rubber. Or sorry, sulfur. So now we have sulfur in here. And then the step before that is butadiene, styrene and oxygen. So we have to get butadiene. So we'll put our fluid storage bus on this, wherever butadiene is. Here it is. Configure this and we'll set it to high priority. Actually, I don't know about the priority on this. I guess we'll leave it as 0 for this one. So we'll configure our fluid interface for butadiene. And then we'll filter the insert on this. Okay, and we also need styrene and oxygen. So styrene is ethylene benzene. So actually we'll move this over 1 more block. And we'll put a filter in here for ethylene and benzene, which we also have in here. Alright, so this chemical reactor should now be filling with ethylene benzene. That also gives us hydrogen as well as a byproduct. So I guess we can tank that and save that. Because when all these systems are running, hydrogen is quite hard to come by. Alright, there's our styrene. And then we have to combine styrene with oxygen and butadiene. Okay, I've set all the filters on this. We are now making the dust. Are we out of this one? Yeah, raw styrene dust. And then this needs, oh, I guess this will need a limited item filter as well. And we'll need a robot arm, so let me get those. So we'll put the limited item filter on here, filtered for sulfur. This will ensure that no more than 64 goes in here so that we don't jam both slots. And same coming out of this machine here, we'll put a robot arm on there and we'll keep exact 64. Again, to make sure the machine doesn't jam. Alright, we're now making styrene butadiene rubber. And with this we can send it into an assembler for coating wire. And just a slight modification here, I noticed this wasn't getting any styrene butadiene rubber dust. I moved the robot arm onto this face. I don't think it actually matters, but I was just playing around with it. I kept this keep exact number at 64, but I remembered that if that 64 also includes the sulfur, so I changed the limited item filter to just 16. So there's not going to be any more than 64 items, and 16 of those is always going to be sulfur. So I think this will keep it from locking up. I'll keep an eye on it though, but it should be okay. Anyways, now we have the styrene butadiene rubber. So the assembler is going to get its own interface. I want to set up a naming standard. So all the machines are going to have their name here. Then it's going to be their tier. So in this case, it's going to be MV machine. And then it's going to be circuit 24, I think. Let me just double check that. Yeah, it looks like it's 24 for coating cable. So to set up one of these machines for autocrafting, we are going to put it down on the MV line. And then we'll set the auto output to the top. Allow input from output side with the screwdriver. And set it to auto output. and then put the interface next to that, hook it up, and then I think we just have to connect recipes to it. Actually, I'm going to switch it around so that the interface is next to it instead of on top. I've also grabbed a ME fluid interface. We will filter this for SBR, and we'll put a pump on the inside, or on the top side, sorry, and import. Hook this up as well. And this should now be filling. Yes, it is. Nice. So now all we have to do is put in our recipes to quote cable in this interface here. So let's try it for copper cable then. So we want a processing pattern, assembler, circuit 24, and we'll take this out since we're not actually importing it through JEI. And we might as well do 64 at a time. And then we should see this named assembler up here. Yes, assembler MV24. We'll put in our pattern here, and then we should be able to order copper cable. Oh, did I do annealed copper cable again? I did do annealed copper cable. There we go, that's regular. I switched it around there. So let's try and order, I don't know, like 20 copper cable. Let's see how long this takes. Actually, yeah, on second thought, maybe I shouldn't do this coating 64 at a time. Maybe we'll do this 8 at a time, since it might have to coat several different types of cable at once. Yeah, maybe even 4. Let's just do it 4 at a time. So if we order 1, yeah, it'll give us 4. And hopefully this, oh yes, nice. Nice, so I'll keep adding the recipes to this that we need. Like gold, we're going to need gold as well, I know that. Nice, I feel like we're really getting somewhere with this automation now. It doesn't feel so daunting to start. We're just chipping away at this, so I think I might just take some time, maybe set up some more of the arrays, and I'll do some more automation off camera because it's more or less just the same thing, and then I'll come back and basically show you what I've done. Alright, it's been a couple hours of automating. I've changed up some things and we now have passive circuit boards. I got a bit carried away and kind of forgot to show anything along the way, but yeah, it's finished now. At least most of them. So we have the plastic circuit boards, epoxy boards, and fibre reinforced boards. I was running low on one, so I just decided, well, I'm at it, I might as well just finish off the rest and automate those. So the way this works is we have the epoxy resin, which is being made over there. That's being round robined into between this fluid solidifier and this chemical bath. The chemical bath will turn it into fibre reinforced epoxy resin sheets. The fluid solidifier turns it into epoxied sheets. The epoxied sheets is what's used for the epoxy boards, and the fibre reinforced is for the fibre reinforced boards. The way we're getting carbon fibres is through an autoclave system. So we have palladium being melted in this fluid extractor. That's being provided by this interface with an item filter on here. The fluid gets auto extracted into this autoclave where it gets combined with carbon. That creates carbon fibres, and then the carbon fibres go into this drawer controller and into storage here. Same with the output of the two boards. The epoxy boards and the fibre reinforced boards are in these drawers, and they're extracted from these two conduits here. These 3 chemical reactors are creating the boards themselves. So these boards require sulfuric acid, which we're making over there, and that's coming from... Actually, where is that coming from? Good question. Yeah, here. This fluid interface here is supplying sulfuric acid. There's just an item, fluid conduit back there to all 3 of these machines. They also require this copper foil, which is coming from these 2 machines here. We have a compressor turning copper ingots into plates, and then plates into foil, and the foil's stored in a drawer up here. And then each of the corresponding boards are made in each one. So for this one we have polyvinyl chloride sheets, which we made a few episodes ago over there. I think that's the drawer for it right there. That's being supplied by this interface. And then these 2 are these 2 boards here, which are coming out of this drawer controller. So yeah, that's now the circuit boards automated. The idea with doing this is I'd like to do most things passively, especially in like the circuit production. But the next thing I would like to tackle is SMD components, like all 4 versions of them, because they're used at every tier, I believe. Yeah, I'm going to on-demand all of the SMDs just because you get so many of them. So I'll set up a polyethylene assembler with all of the various SMD components. And then I added also, where's my terminal here? I added the circuits to Autocraft. So we have a assembler with tin, and I'll show you that over here. So we have interface providing tin ingots. The tin is being melted and put into this assembling machine, which makes the circuits. For now I have the processor assembly, which is the second to last tier, and also the microcircuit in here. So the last things to automate for the microcircuit, now that we have epoxy boards, is the SMDs, which I think I'll tackle next, and also these central processing units. These are going to take cutting saws, which I think I'm going to dedicate a cutting saw to, even though I set up the cutting saw array. This is just going to be for on-demand things. However, I'd like to make these things passive. Since the recipe takes so long, it's 60 seconds per. In order to get these though, we need silicon wafers, and these require silicon boules, which are made in the blast furnace. So I think I'm going to set up another blast furnace for these, and we'll just passive silicon boules. And also, speaking of blast furnaces, this palladium has to come from a blast furnace as well. So this palladium I just bought the ore with, and I put it through the ore processing system, and you get tons and tons of raw carbon fibers for each piece of palladium. You really don't need a lot of this stuff. So I just threw it in one of the blast furnaces we have right now, but I'll probably end up adding 2 more. I don't know if we can even fit them here, can we? 1, 2... We can just fit 2 more MV blast furnaces. One will be for silicon, one will be for palladium. I might make the palladium one HV actually, and same with the silicon. I might just make them HV and put them over here with the new line of blast furnaces, because there's going to be a lot more. We need to do like titanium, canthal, nichrome. Yeah, that's all coming up. All of these other ones as well, like here, tungsten, tungsten carbide, tungsten steel. All of these are all made in the blast furnace, so we're going to need one for each of those as well. So there's still lots and lots and lots to do. I'm kind of a bit more motivated now that I've solved this petrochemistry problem that we had for making epoxy. It's still not perfect because we are not constantly producing because we're out of chlorine. Yeah, here, this is the bottleneck here, is the chlorine for the propene for the allyl chloride. So I'll have to figure out something else for the chlorine. Otherwise we just keep buying it and wait for better ore processing so that we get better yield out of each ore. Either way, we have enough to progress at the moment, and I still have to do things like passive steel, end steel. There's a couple of other alloys that I'd like to have passively stocked in the system as well. But yeah, taking a look at our interface terminal, there's a lot of recipes added now. I did add a few more interfaces to this as well. And basically the way I've been doing this is just whenever I need something, instead of manually crafting it, I'll just add it as a recipe. Assuming I can anyway. But yeah, I think that's about all the time I have for today. Oh, I just noticed this hole. Next time we'll continue with the automation. I think we'll tackle the SMDs next time, and we'll add some more blast furnaces and keep expanding. So thanks very much for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next one.